Cotman, Crawford, and the Jersey Guy podcast.
Hey everybody, Kenny Cotman,
Lewis Crawford,
And I'm Tom Ramage, the Jersey Guy.
Woohoo! Welcome to another fantabulous episode of Cotman, Crawford, and the Jersey Guy. And the fourth guy tonight.
It is
Chris.
We got Chris here with us tonight.
Well.
Yeah, he came to hang out,
So,
bullshit with us, laugh and joke.
Yeah.
And then,
It's all good.
so everybody's good, everybody's chilling, everybody's comfortable.
everybody's good.
Everything's good.
No more alcoholic beverages needed.
Way ahead of you.
All right. No special, the devil's
my-
lettuce.
I have my vape pen.
Yeah.
So anyway, so
Yes.
I'm introduced my friend, my good friend Suzanne. She's a fellow activist. So obviously we're going to be talking about veganism today and animal rights also.
Hello, Suzanne.
Hey, how's it going? So I guess I'm the fifth guy then?
No, well, if you want to be a guy, listen.
wheel.
Whatever you want.
You guys said there's four guys. So I
Well,
guess
four
I'm
guys over
the
here. I
fifth,
didn't
yeah?
introduce you yet. See, this is why. This is
Fifth
why.
wheel,
bro.
actually.
This is why people go missing because they want to come and talk shit. That's what I'm just saying to you right now. Well, no, welcome, Miss Suzanne.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being on, really.
Yeah, thank you for real, because, getting time to talk sometimes is like, holy shit.
Nah, he's
Okay.
Yeah. No bullshit.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no. But excellent. Cool beans. So talk to me, brother. Talk to both of us. All of us.
So I'll just start by saying that a lot of people think veganism is a diet. It's not a diet. It is a moral baseline. It just happens to be that the most decisions you have to make a day are what you're going to eat. So most people just gravitate towards that.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, because, certain food might say it's vegan on it or whatever. So people kind of just think it's a diet, but it's actually a justice movement for animals. So maybe, you can elaborate on it too,
right. But it also doesn't have to do with food either. It has to do with clothing.
Yeah, anything.
And
Just 'cause
anything,
it's about
pretty much,
it's
right?
not-
I mean,
it's about trying to avoid exploitation as
Right.
far as possible and practicable
Okay.
of animals. So, yeah.
Right. I mean, basically, plant-based is the diet, but I mean, for myself, I have to find cosmetics that don't have animal ingredients, shampoos, obviously clothing. It's, we try to be as ethical as possible. And humans are animals too. So for me, that also includes not participating in fast fashion and that kind of stuff. But obviously, yes, we focus on saving animals that are used as commodities.
gotcha.
What's fast fashion?
Fast fashion, some of the big box stores like Old Navy and places like this, because obviously all that stuff ends up in the landfill and humans are abused during that process. So for myself,
like
that's
sweat
part
shops,
of the veganism.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Like sweatshop and
like
fast
blood diamonds?
fashion is
Yeah.
It's sort of like blood
Yeah.
diamonds.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
So,
Okay.
Wow.
and the fast fashion is because it's like stuff. It's like, oh, this is cool this season, and the next season it's unpopular, so people just get rid of it. And
Right.
And it ends up in the landfill,
Right.
the extra
Yeah,
stuff that they don't sell.
Right. And putting the stuff in the landfills too, what I understand is actually not good either because it doesn't break down the way it's
No,
supposed
for
to.
years.
So,
Right,
right.
yeah.
It should be recycled.
What do you define as fast fashion? Like, how do you know?
You can usually tell by price, but I mean, for myself, I have to be honest with you, I haven't done much shopping at any new clothing store because I haven't had the time to dedicate to really finding what's going to be an ethical brand. So majority of my shopping has been done at thrift stores. I thrift pretty much
Okay.
everything. So
Huh.
yeah.
Cool.
yeah.
Suzanne's thrifty.
Yeah, I see that.
I see what you did
I'm
there.
not
Tom.
thrifty, girl.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably not very fashionable. I did have 3 older brothers growing up. I'm not very good at this girl thing. I've been doing it for 53 years. I'm not great at it. So I probably don't fit anyone's fashion, high on the scale or whatever, but works for me.
All right.
Listen,
Whatever
hey,
works for you
yeah.
is what you do,
Yeah, that's crazy though. I didn't even think that was part of just how you guys are, like the whole veganism and whatnot. I
I mean,
didn't
I don't know
went
if
that deep.
everybody's like that. I just think that, people forget that humans are
Right.
animals too.
Mhm.
And a lot of the things like the fishing industry, it's obviously harming trillions of sea animals, but there are also a lot of people that are stuck on these ships that are basically slaves. They don't
right.
get off.
Yeah.
So there's a whole human aspect to it too.
Right.
You know what I
plug
mean?
the
Would that be like
documentary?
That'd be like the same thing with the Apple phones and stuff like that?
The
You know?
what?
what they're actually getting paid.
That doesn't
though.
really happen anymore. They don't really use the cholesterol in phones anymore. That hasn't been going on for a while.
Okay.
But is that what you were talking about? Yeah, that doesn't really happen anymore.
Okay.
The animal cholesterol.
Oh, yeah. So, but like that's a good documentary to watch is Seaspiracy because they actually talk about
great.
that, how
Wonderful.
like there's like people who are like slaves on ships.
Wow, that's
It's crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, word. I thought that you just went and that's what you wanted to do to be
Think of like Deadliest
Think of the
Catch.
country.
Yeah, right.
That's what I
Deadliest
think.
catch.
Deadliest
I mean, there
or-
are like fishing industries that have people, but there's a lot of the big giant commercial fisheries. Like,
No
Right.
shit.
Yeah, I
So
was actually shocked to see
Yeah.
that, and I thought I was pretty well versed in the whole thing. But I was like, oh my god, these people don't get off. Like they're literally kept in these cold,
That sucks.
wet. Yeah. Well, they don't have a choice. I mean, when you're dealing with poorest countries in the world,
Yeah.
it's either I live on this boat as a slave or I don't live. I
Right.
starve.
Right.
So
What?
And one of the other things that I found crazy is like they have these, the tuna companies have like dolphin safe tuna. In order to have that label, these companies have to have a person on site inspecting it to make sure that. So what happens is when someone actually reports that it's not dolphin safe tuna, they get killed. By like it's like mafia
exactly.
brand. It's like
They sometimes
it's like mob
disappear.
brand, like cartel type
just
shit.
no joke.
It's fucked up. What? Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, you see, bro, that's
Dark Side of
ridiculous.
That is-
Bumblebee.
Yeah, you feel
Yeah.
me? Yeah, word. Yo, like
Never look at Ace Ventura the same
yeah,
again.
no lie.
Bumblebee tuna. Yes.
That's
Bumblebee tuna.
insane. That's crazy. So now, what made you decide to be vegan?
Yeah. You guys heard my stories.
Do I?
Yeah, I know
know
yours.
your
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I know
story,
your
yeah.
story. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let the young lady
So
speak.
I'll give you a little bit of background. I'm from Colorado. Okay, I'm from cattle country.
Uh-huh.
I'm 5'9", flat-footed. I weigh 180 pounds. I'm a solid girl. Like, I was programmed my entire life that you gotta eat your protein.
Right.
You're gonna die. You know, like I used to literally force my daughter, to eat animal flesh because I thought I was doing the right thing. I was
Right.
like, super programmed. This is just what we did. I was so far removed from the process. I mean, I remember going to the grocery store and just like picking up the reddest package of animal flesh possible because I thought it was going to be fresher
Mhm.
and just taking it home. And at no point did I ever think about the animals. Like I was so far removed from the process. And this is why I have to remember when I'm doing outreach and stuff, I try to remember not to be too judgmental because I had no clue. I have to assume that some people still are in that dark, unknowing kind of a phase. But I was told it was healthy, and I ate animals and their secretions at every single meal. I mean, eggs for breakfast with a side of sausage and toast with butter from cow's milk, like, chicken salad for lunch, steak for dinner, hamburgers. Like that was just my norm. I never ate vegetables. Vegetables were like lettuce in a salad. That was the extent of my vegetable experience.
Yeah.
My daughter was always very against it, and I would force her to eat it. And then after she was back from college, she came to live with me again in New Jersey. And, she was like, I don't want to do this. I'm going to be a vegetarian. And I was like, oh, you're going to get your protein. Like literally, that was my biggest concern is that, she was going to get all fat and unhealthy because that's what my programming told me. But she started doing it, and we knew nothing about the ethics. We knew nothing about what happened to the animals. I personally am not a quote animal lover. Like I love my cats. I don't really like dogs much. I like them at other people's houses, not at mine,
Mhm.
because they yap and they're needy, and I already have enough needy humans in my life. You know what I mean?
So many
You're
jokes.
definitely a cat person.
I am definitely a cat person because they're like, oh, were you gone? Oh shit, I didn't
Yeah.
notice. Yeah.
She's
I
back.
just like, exactly.
Right.
Animals are great, but I'm not an animal lover. I'm not, a self-described animal lover. But it just really boiled down to, she had sent me a video by somebody called Earthly Ned. You guys probably heard of him. And it was a TED Talk, and it was 100 arguments against veganism or something to that effect. We can like link it or whatever. But I was listening to this podcast in the morning, and, again, every single meal I ate animals. And, I don't think very many people stop eating animals because they don't like the taste. People always like try and troll vegans, like throwing a picture of a steak or, ooh, bacon. Oh, it tastes so good. Yeah, yeah, we know. We're not stupid. We know that it tasted good to us too. We didn't stop eating them because they didn't taste good, you know.
Right.
But I sat here and I listened to this podcast, and I was, I'm a spiritual person. I practice witchcraft. I try to align, my actions of kindness across the board. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm eating someone. This is not meat. This random piece of flesh this piece of flesh didn't randomly just appear in a grocery market and nobody had to suffer and nothing, there were no ramifications. I mean, like, there's a process behind this and somebody's dying. And I was like, I don't feel good about this anymore. Like, energy never dies. It only changes. These animals are raped and they're enslaved and, they're tortured and their family members are taken away. And also that I can eat their flesh. I just thought this is barbaric. Like, if you really let your brain go there, it's kind of like, that shit's weird. It's really weird. We're chopping someone up and eating them. I'm sorry, but it's weird.
Right.
And once my brain actually went there, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I came out of my bedroom and I said to my daughter, I'm going vegan. And she was like, oh, okay, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
She knows me.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, sure you are, chicken wing queen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I worked, they literally used to call me the chicken wing queen. That was like my thing, buffalo wings, right? So I was like, no, I'm serious. I can't, hearing, making the connection, I can't do this. And I had never seen any of the footage, like, so I just decided right there and there. And I did. I went vegan overnight. I didn't ever eat another animal product. In the beginning, I struggled a little bit with trying to figure out what I was going to eat. This was 4 and almost a half years ago. So Daiya was the only cheese available and it was horrible. It tasted like plastic. And I was like, wow, I'm never going to eat anything even remotely cheesy again. But, oh, well, this is what it is, because the option isn't there anymore. Right. So I just made that decision and I stuck to it. And, shortly after that, I was like, God, I got to tell everybody. Like, people just don't know this. Man, I got to go start telling it. I got so excited, like a fire was in my ass. I was like, I'm going to go start telling everybody because everybody's just, they're completely all living in cognitive dissonance. They don't know what's going on. And as soon as I come and tell them I'm a great salesperson, I'm going to tell them and they're going to be like, yeah, let's go on that vegan train. So I started doing activism and my very first cube was with Tom. Tom was with
I was organizing
for the Voiceless at the time. And I'm sitting here talking to somebody, about veganism and the lifestyle or whatever, very, very green. And all of a sudden I look down at the television that's playing and it's some footage from the movie Dominion, which is about animal agriculture and how we, use animals in all the forms. And I'm looking at this footage and I'm just like, oh my God. And I started like reacting with the person, and I think they thought I was like trying to get them to have a reaction, but no, it was a real reaction to me because I hadn't seen that before. You know what I'm saying? And so, I was like, everyone's going to want to be vegan. And boy, was I wrong. Yeah. I mean, immediately when I start going online, the excuses and the bacon those and the trolling, what about the turbine, the combine animals and the, all these excuses and all. And I thought, oh my God, these people have been practicing this for years. They all already know. And they just don't care. Like they're just going to come up with excuses and reasons and rational and whatever not to do it, which absolutely blew my mind. But yeah, so that's my story. Vegan overnight, 49 years
pretty
old.
Intense.
That is super intense. But like that's overnight. I'm like
49 years old, and I'm talking a lifetime of programming. Terrible asthma, terrible fibromyalgia, high cholesterol, high blood pressure.
From being a vegan.
No, before.
Gotcha.
The worst IBS, like when I tell you that it was a 30-minute process in the toilet every morning, I'm not being hyperbolic at all. I'm serious.
Jeez.
So terrible. And I would go to the doctors and I'd be like, oh, I have such pain and, this fibromyalgia and I'm hurting. And they'd be like, oh, well, here's Lyrica. Mm-hmm. And I would be like, wow, isn't that an antidepressant? I'm like, pretty sure that's for depression. I don't think I need that. I'm not depressed. I got pain.
Yeah. Right.
And that's the other
Never
thing
at any point did any doctor ever say, hey, maybe you should stop mainlining cheese and you won't have severe asthma. Maybe maybe the fact that your stomach is upset every goddamn day is because, I know it's shocking, but you're not a baby cow. And the breast milk that's coming from that cow isn't for you.
Right.
Nobody ever told me that. So the health ramifications, or the health benefits, I guess I should say, have been tremendous. But bottom line, because people want to go down this whole like rabbit hole of health and whatever, you can be healthy as a vegan. You can be fairly healthy as a carnivore. I mean, at some point you're probably going to get heart disease, but you know, that's why we want to impress so strongly that it's not a diet, because you know, you can be either way.
Yeah, you can
even
eat,
if I
you can
were
eat junk food, or you can eat healthy food. Yeah.
And honestly, even if I were unhealthy and I started having to take a lot of medication, I would still be vegan, because I never want to be the reason that one single animal, like the animal I saw at Vigil yesterday morning, looks me in the eyes and is sad. I don't ever want to be that reason.
You guys they go to the vigils.
She hasn't been in a while. She because I don't know if you want to say, but yeah. No, I was going pretty steadily for a couple of years, and you know, we'd go every Thursday morning, and we would bear witness, and you know, we try to give the animals a little bit of comfort and a little bit of water. I don't want to interrupt you too much. I just wanted to just say, just because they probably don't know, like a vigil is like you go to the slaughterhouse, and the animals are on the trucks, and you give the animals water before they get sent in.
Right.
You know, it's like a humanitarian type act. Yeah, you know.
Also,
what's American halal?
What's that?
What's a cube?
Oh, sorry. See, we're saying all these terms and they don't like it. So a cube is like no. So like that was there's an organization called Anonymous for the Voiceless. They stand with 4 TVs in a cube. They wear the V for Vendetta mask. And they just stand there still like statues holding the 4 TVs in a box formation.
Yeah, it's showing the video.
So they call it the cube of truth. We say, people say cube for short. Sorry. Like there's a lot of terms probably like we're just going over your head.
Well, I know a lot of this because you talked to me about it.
Right. So I apologize. Yeah. So anyway, so you want to just continue on with the story, Suzanne? Sorry.
I don't know where I was.
You said.
Okay. Sorry. So with the vigil, we, at the slaughterhouse, it's the American Halal, quote unquote, slaughterhouse in Newark, New Jersey, which, if you really look up halal, the animals are not supposed to see each other getting slaughtered. They're not supposed to know anything, but they don't follow any of that. It's definitely not halal, but
I don't think it's more humane anyway, but that's another,
No,
they claim it's more humane halal, but it's really not. You're slicing their throat open. While they're alive.
I mean, essentially, the bottom line is this: there is no right way to do the wrong thing. So you can go with your halal, you can go with your organic eggs, your free range. It's all yuppie bullshit terms,
right?
To make your brain feel better about doing what you know is not right.
Right.
Okay. So now, what about the whole thing about circle of life, like real shit? So like then it's supposed to be that we eat, and it's like almost like a blessing when, you kill an animal for your home.
Right.
But wait. So like you're saying, so like they show, because even back in the day, maybe not as much as what it is now, but you look at, let's just say here in the United States,
right?
Before it was United States, the American Indians were here and they would go out hunting. So now you hunt to feed your family, to feed the tribe.
Well, the American Indian used everything of the animal, and that was a different time too.
Well,
but when they did it, they also looked at the animals as sacred animals too. I mean, right? So I would think in my mind, it's a different time period. Things were different then.
Well, they're living off the land.
Right, and I get that.
Different.
But what I'm saying is that, but it's still the idea. So, right. So that's what I'm asking. Okay. If that idea, right, is still there, if that there was a way to actually, use the word slaughter the animals, that they actually held to these particular standards, that, it was to give back, for the circle of life.
I could quote another activist, and he
so quote him.
So this is Gary Yourofsky said, he goes, if I take a girl on a date and I put on some Ted Pendergrass,
right,
and we dance smoothly, and he goes, and I slip her a date right job, does that make it better because I did it nicely?
Right.
You know what I mean?
You got a point.
I understand.
Let me know when I can answer this because I'm chomping at the bit over here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm dying.
I'm sorry.
Please.
While I'm hearing this. Okay. Let me just say this first and foremost. Okay, obviously we this is not 100 years ago. First and foremost, we're not Native Americans. We're not native to any country. No. We're not living off of the land. Tom and I are not going to go to Alaska, into these, places where people can't even have electricity, and say to them, hey, you can't kill whales. You can't kill whatever animal you're killing. You and your family should die. Fuck you. You're dying.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about us. Okay. We're talking Modern about society, a person that can go to a supermarket, and I can go over to the fruits and vegetables and the seasonal, fruits and vegetables and beans and rice, and I can pick all of these things, and I can take all of these proteins that when combined become a full protein, and I can make these foods, and I can go home and I can live just as healthy, and nobody has to be harmed. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about necessity. We're not talking about any of that kind of stuff. And that whole hunter thing, like living off of the land back in the day, we're not born hunters. Humans are not obligate carnivores. If we were, then we would have claws, we would have teeth, and we would be able to digest fur and hair, and we cannot. If we eat hair and fur, either our own or an animal's or whatever, we get something called trigivores,
right,
which will kill you. If you get too much hair in your stomach, you'll die. We can't digest it. The human body, the acids cannot break that down. So the whole, we are carnivores. If we were, then we would be like that lion, like that, quote, circle of life, those animals at the, top of the food chain who eat the other animals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And especially if you're going to bring religion into it, or, the animals are here for us. Well, if God made the animals for us, then God probably should have made me like goddamn Wolverine so I could slice that animal up. Because if I gotta go, make a knife and shit, that's gonna I'm gonna starve before I figure out the knife thing, especially with my, Neanderthal brain. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that don't really fit into that. But again, nobody's faulting natives of any country or people, what they had to do to survive back then. But history, tradition, religion, none of this is really a valid excuse to continue to harm animals and to kill them and to enslave them and to rape them.
Slaughter them.
Again, it just bothers me. It blows my mind. I was talking to a coworker 2 days ago, and the coworker was like, oh my God, look at this video. This man actually had sex with a cow. And all my other coworkers.
What website was that?
Oh yeah, it's in the news. It's in the news. Look it up.
Okay.
Oh, it was a news thing. Okay.
Yeah, so the guys all come over and they're like, oh my God, that's so disgusting. I can't believe he had a sex with a cow. And I was like, hey you guys, do you guys want to hear something really gross?
Oh my God!
Here we go. I know what you're. I don't know what you're going to say.
Even grosser than that man having a sex with the cow. I mean, that's pretty weird. But hey, do you know how dairy's made? And I was like, they're like, what? And they're like, oh, here she goes with her vegan shit. Right. I'm like, buckle up, cowboys, because it's going to be a ride right now. I'm like, first of all, a special handler goes and ejaculates the bull with a electronic ejaculator and gets his sperm. That sounds like some bestiality.
Well,
then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think they put on? Not Teddy Pendergrass. What do you think they put on? Very white, and they go, hey guys, you two cows, get it on.
Right.
No, they ejaculate the bull. They take the sperm. Then they go to the mother cow, and the special handler goes to the mother cow, puts a big, huge plastic sheath over his hand, shoves his arm all the way inside of the cow's ass. Holds her cervix.
Yeah, that's to open up the cervix.
Sticks in the thing and impregnates her with the bull sperm. Okay.
Yeah.
If that's not crazy. Bestiality, if that's not disgusting, there's nothing, quote, circle of life about that.
Right.
Okay. That's some bizarre. And here's people who, I buy my stuff from a small farm. Okay, well, that's great. But small farms are not going to feed the mass population.
Right.
What is it, 8 billion people?
And plus, that stuff still happens on the small farms.
I don't mean
the thing. Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I saw some because you guys are talking about these horrific things. And I saw a video on Instagram on ours.
Okay.
And it was a video of someone, a vegan, put it up, and it was a video of a cow who was dying. and they were still milking the cow.
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
while she was
course.
laying
Hey,
on the ground, and I was
listen,
like,
she still got milk. Got milk?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. So there is no love, or
and the,
I mean,
right.
And
And the thing I like to stress about small farms too. Everybody says, "Oh, small farms," but like, I know someone that's a vegan now. She might be actually from Colorado too. I'm friends with her on Facebook, but she grew up on a farm, and she grew up on a small farm, and she said like, actually, like abuse stuff happens on smaller farms because there's no like,
nobody to
there's no
regulation.
like supervisor, and
Right.
with the corporate ones,
Right.
there's supervisors making sure this happens, making sure that happens.
In theory.
So some fucked up shit happens on the small farms.
But here's
too,
the thing, like, so
but
my whole concept is this: people will be like, "Oh, well, what if I treat the cow really nicely?" And like the 4-H protest that Alicia just did, there was a man who was there. He was saying, "No, we treat the animals really good, and what you vegans just want all the animals to die. And if I don't breed them into existence, they're just going to all die." First of all, that's ridiculous, but
Right.
But then we basically were like, okay, so if I have a child and I love the child for like 10 years or whatever, then all of a sudden I decide that I'm done with this child, but I love them for 10 years. Does it now make it morally justifiable to kill them because they had a good life? Because that's literally the argument you're saying, that because you gave this animal a quote good life because you let them walk around in a pasture, like meanwhile you were raping her on a regular basis and taking her baby away so that she could continue to produce milk. So how that's a good life is not really equating to me, but sure, okay, we'll go with that story.
Okay,
right,
but at the end of the day, they all die. They all get hung up by their feet. Their necks are slit, and they bleed out, and they choke on their own blood, and they die, and they become someone's sandwich.
Right, and that's what I always say to vegetarians too. Is like people say, well, they're not eating the animal's flesh or whatever, but like at the same time, like there's no retirement facilities for animals in animal culture. When they die, they're getting sent off to become meat or whatever.
McDonald's hamburgers.
Actually, I read that at like a lot of McDonald's hamburgers.
So I have a question for both of you guys, because I saw a thing with Ted Nugent. I'm sure you guys
saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. Anyway,
she busts my balls all the time on my Jersey accent. She's like, "You having coffee?" I was like, "Yes."
What?
So I was watching this episode. They were asking about the hunting, and he was talking about what he does, and he only kills this, and how he does it, and the whole thing. Right. He says, "Do you know there are more animals killed when they?"
We've all seen this video. This was on Joe Rogan.
I know that, and that's why I'm bringing it up too, because I want you guys to talk to. I want you guys to address it.
Yes.
So he's saying, but because of the things that you're doing in those, when you're growing those things and you're plowing and you're getting it together, you're killing all these other animals.
Let me at him.
Not me. I am just bringing it up. Okay. Don't attack the messenger.
I'm gonna hold on. Before you start, I'm gonna add on. What do you say to people who say population control? If you don't control, like, let's just say deers, for example.
Well, clearly it's working so well, which is why we have to hunt every single year.
Right.
Obviously, population
bad shots.
We wouldn't have to do it every single year, so that's just ridiculous.
Right.
And here's the deal: maybe if we'd stop moving and building houses in their
and pushing out of their environment,
humans are parasites. Like, we're the parasite of the earth. Maybe if we actually allowed them to live in a place and let maybe the area rewild a little bit, they would stay there. But no, we just keep going and going and going. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it doesn't work. If it worked, we wouldn't have to do it every single year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not realistic.
Okay.
But as far as the combines and all those deaths, this was one of the things early on that when I went, I was like, I'm going to go tell everybody. Everybody just needs to know. And I went onto Facebook and somebody was like, combine animals, blah, blah. And I was like, oh.
Crop deaths.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah. And I was like, duh. And I didn't know, And then, so I studied and researched and talked to other vegans and stuff. And they were like, I don't mean to be mean, Suzanne, but dumbass. The majority of crops that they're cultivating are fed to the, what is it, like 80, 85 now, Tom?
85 billion animals a year killed for food. Yeah.
That's where the majority of the crops are going. So here's the deal. If you're concerned about that mouse or that rodent or whatever, those small animals,
rabbit or whatever it is, right?
They're so concerned about those animals. Like, you're not concerned about, the cows and the chickens and the pig. You're not concerned, but you're concerned about these animals. Then by your own ideal, moral justice, you should be vegan, because the majority of the crops are fed to land animals.
Right. And
there's
I think
8 billion people on the planet, and 84 billion land animals alone are killed every year.
Right.
So
he's comparing it to like saying all these animals are dying when you're doing these crops, right?
Right.
Comparing it to, it's an oxymoron. You know what I mean? It's like he's trying to say, well we're killing all these animals. Right.
The majority of the feed is going to, quote, livestock.
Yeah,
right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. That's
crops grown are for livestock.
He's not even telling you that part, but he's making sure that he gets this point across.
Right. And so,
I think they really believe their own stuff after a while. I don't really think that they get the full picture, and so they just hear something, then they run with it, and they don't realize that, hey, in overall numbers of people that are needing food versus animals, and we're feeding all that livestock, there's been studies that have shown that we could literally cure world hunger if we just stop feeding the crops to the animals and filtering our nutrients
if we stop breeding
through the
them,
animals.
We'd have all these extra farms. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So doesn't mass farming animals cause a lot of pollution as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we could talk about
that as well as dairy cows. All these dairy cows all over, they fart.
The methane.
And the methane gas is
and they actually say
farming.
The methane gas is bad, but they actually say the cow feces actually has another chemical that emits that's even worse than the methane.
Right. And their burps too, right?
Yeah, they're what?
Burps. Their burps.
The burps, the cow farts and the burps, release CO2, but their shit, something in their shit too, is actually worse than
it's like
it's crazy. And it's not that. So the thing is with the environmental impact, it's the amount that's happening, because so for like me, when I talk about veganism, I always talk about the animal stuff, because the environment it is bad, but like it's because of the scale. So like I'm more focused on animal rights than the environment. The environmental stuff is really bad, though. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's ironic, though, that people want to drive their Teslas and everybody wants to recycle their plastic. And, oh, my God, no more plastic bags. I got news for you. That Texas-sized mass of plastic that's floating in the ocean.
Yeah.
That's not plastic bags exclusively.
Yes,
the majority of that
bottles.
is fishing. Well, it's fishing gear.
Yeah, the majority
it's a lot of fishing gear,
Pacific
because
garbage.
guess what?
I didn't know that.
Is because they cut the lines. They just leave them in the ocean.
Exactly. I got a quota and I get something stuck. I'm not going in untie. I'm just cutting it and going.
Yeah, the nets they cut the nets, and the nets are just in the ocean. Then they're plastic. They're not. It's not like back in the day. Back they were made out of like hemp or whatever. They're all nylon. It's all plastic, nylon, all that garbage.
Which, by the way, then all of your fish that you're now eating, they have bioplastics in their body.
Yeah, the
so you're eating a good amount of
now,
microplastics. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, because the plastics break down into microscopic plastic, and then it gets into their cell walls, and actually it's in their like flesh. So like you're eating fish, and it's just got microplastics.
I read in a health paper that newborn babies are being born with microplastics in their bodies.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
How the fuck that happened?
Because they were
eating the... because with the pack. Oh yeah, okay. I caught up. My bad.
Yeah, it's all right.
What the?
So it just keeps going.
Yeah. So there goes the circle of life.
The microplastics is the circle of life.
It's a vicious cycle. Is really what it is.
Yeah.
For the first time, humans are being born with microplastics.
That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
Insane.
We're our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
And we said that on
a few episodes.
When we talk about things. It's
Kenny,
crazy.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate, because Kenny's usually the devil's advocate.
Yeah, usually he is.
He's a little messed up right now.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who says, if we're all animals, then humans are at the top of the food chain, so what's the issue then? Like, what would you say, if a lion...
I would again say...
Like, if a lion saw us, they would eat us and not even care. What?
Yeah, but again, a lion is an obligate carnivore. A lion can't go to the grocery store and get some beans and rice.
Right, but he could go around the corner. He could go on the other side of the field, eat some grass.
Are we going to get our moral, our moral code from a lion? Because I got news for you: lions eat their own babies. So should we start eating our own babies too? Like, if we're at the top of the food chain, how come we're getting our we're gonna model the behavior of a lion in the wild? Like, really? That doesn't make any sense. We can go to the grocery store and move one case over.
Well,
people say that, eating animals is a choice, but if it's a choice, and there's a victim involved, what about the victim's choice? You know what I'm saying? Like,
gotcha.
Yeah.
And if it's a choice, if it really is a choice, then that kind of makes people who eat animals an asshole, because if you have a choice between choosing a behavior that is cruel and not, and you're willfully eating the animal flesh when you know it's not necessary on any level whatsoever, other than sensory pleasure. And even that is kind of like there's a vegan version of everything. I mean, it's mind blowing how far we've come. We can replicate flavors of just about every single thing that you could possibly want to eat. So you're willfully deciding to be cruel.
Yeah. Yeah, like that baked ziti I made the other day. The last time I came over, I made that baked ziti. It was like a delicious meat baked ziti. It had like all kinds of like, it had like plant-based meat in it. It had the cheese and everything. It was good.
But then where are the flavors coming from? What are you adding to your
all spices.
tofu?
It's all spices and stuff. Yeah.
So do they use?
Let me ask you this: when you eat meat, do you just throw it on the grill and just eat it, or do you put spices and
salt,
and vegetables?
Well, no. But I'm asking for those particular flavors. So you're saying that I'm saying so like if you're gonna turn around and you're gonna make a
is it chemical? Do you use chemicals to make like a bacon flavor, for example?
Right.
Or?
I'm assuming it's going to be all natural. You're not going to go ahead and contradict yourself and go, you know what, I'll just get this chemical, even though it came from animals.
I'm just going to rub this pork chop on
here. So no, but I mean if you're buying something from the grocery store, it's probably going to have some, a lot of the companies do have natural, but like, for instance, a good alternative to bacon that most people, you would think is a weird one, is people make shiitake bacon. You take shiitake mushrooms and you use like liquid smoke.
I'm just going to tell you, mushrooms are literally
loves
God.
mushrooms. I would tell you.
No, they are God. There's a God, and it is mushrooms. Okay,
yes.
It is everything from psilocybin mushrooms to oyster mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oyster mushrooms that you can literally do with like a chimichurri kind of a seasoning.
There's a
restaurant
tastes
like steak.
Yes, there's a restaurant in Central Jersey called Veganized Food, and they make a dish called Off the Grill and it's made out of those oyster mushrooms, and I don't know what the fuck they marinate in, but it tastes like steak off the grill.
It's witchcraft. I'm going to tell you right now.
She knows.
It's witchcraft.
Suzanne's saying it's witchcraft. Yeah, it is.
It's amazing. It's crazy.
But
and listen, I don't do a lot of the Beyond Meats and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm looking really forward to going to Tom's house and having a big ass fat ugly Beyond Burger, because I don't really eat that stuff that much. Because it's still a very processed food, and at almost 54 years old, I got to be kind of mindful of what I'm putting in my body. But that's a great transition food. It's a great tasting food, but most of the vegans I know, we don't really eat that stuff. We eat mushrooms, we eat beans, we eat veggies. This whole people being protein deficient is bullshit. The only way you would ever be protein deficient in a first world country is if you're starving. Like.
Right. Yeah.
I'm definitely as strong as I ever was when I ate meat, maybe even a little bit stronger because, I work it out more and stuff. That's it. There just isn't a justification anymore.
And the interesting thing you're saying about like poor countries and stuff like that is the more poor countries, the more like third world type countries. I hate to use the word third world, but you know what I mean? People that don't have a lot of money usually they're mostly predominantly plant-based because it's cheaper.
Exactly.
Right. Like rice and beans is cheaper than the only reason meat, dairy and eggs are so cheap in the United States is because we subsidize our food and the government subsidizes it. So it's cheaper. We do it through government economics to make it cheaper.
Yeah,
but
they get huge
if it
bailouts.
wasn't, it would be like ridiculously expensive.
I don't know if you think about it,
you buy like a gallon of milk, like how much like it costs to raise the cow, to feed the cow, to milk the cow, to bring it to the processing, all that stuff. It would be like ridiculously expensive.
You would not be able to afford it. You would have to get a second.
So the government subsidizes the animal feed, the crops that we were talking about grown. They subsidize. They give the government gives a certain amount to the farmers for that, for the dairy farmers, for like the equipment.
Even when they're not producing, during the pandemic, a lot of animals were having to be killed because it's not cost effective to keep animals alive when you can't, make them into a product. So, thousands of pigs were being dumped into these huge, like just landfills and buried alive. And the government still gave those quote farmers money.
Yeah, they do bailouts too.
Right. So wait, they couldn't sell the meat.
Because COVID, what happens is, most of these viruses are zoonotic in nature. Yes, COVID was manipulated. I think we all agree that happened. But, swine flu, bird flu, all of these diseases, pretty much the majority of disease comes from what we do to animals. It's from animals being on top of each other in their own pee and poop and whatever, and the environment in which they live, they get sick and they give it to other animals, and then it translates to a human host at some point. Bird flu, swine flu, all flus. You do realize all flus are from animals, right?
Yeah.
Like flu doesn't just that every single year. That's why we can never figure it out.
Origin. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Correct.
No idea. Did you know that?
Even the common cold, they say originates.
No, not
from
all.
horses.
No, but yes, I did know some.
Well,
They
now I
trace-
know that
they
they're
trace-
all.
They
No,
trace.
I do.
They trace the common cold back to horses.
So let me ask you a question, not to change, the subject, but where do you think you guys, as far as veganism and the change, do you see it? Has it progressed? Is it making the is it moving the way you want it to, and it's making you're
there's definitely more vegans now than when I went first vegan in 2015. There's definitely way more vegans now,
right?
Like a lot more.
And you see the change as far as like I know you guys, you protest in front of fur.
Yeah.
As far as, certain companies doing that.
The fur, the companies, the fashion houses have been dropping fur because they've gotten the animal rights fur activists have gotten more strategic, where it's like we're all gonna go to every Fendi store in the United States and we're all gonna protest it that day. And then the managers call and say, "Hey, we had the protesters here. It was a big thing," and they don't want the headache and the bad press. So a lot of them are starting to just drop fur because they don't want to deal with it. And the public opinion on fur is that it's bad and it's an unnecessary thing. So most people are against fur,
right?
Right.
But I'm saying, you're seeing progress. You guys
definitely.
There's a lot of designers that have dropped fur. There's designers announcing a fur-free policy on a regular basis. Canada Goose.
That was the big one.
They were doing the fur trim on their coats. First of all, the coats are filled with down, which is plucked from geese while they're alive.
Right.
It's extremely cruel to the animals, but then also the fur was a trim that was from coyotes, and they would set these traps, and, the coyotes get stuck in it, and they're there for hours to days. They try to chew their own arms off to get out. Yeah. And this is also that people can wear the fur. It's so completely unnecessary. And, we would go and we would do disruptions. We would do these things. And yes, it's definitely, that kind of stuff is definitely effective on a regular basis. We're seeing more and more of these designers go for free. Definitely. I think that's been huge. The plant-based eating side of veganism in the 4 years that I have been vegan definitely has exploded. The more people that eat plant-based, obviously it's supply and demand. So the more people that do it, the more it becomes available, the cheaper that these substitutes that so many people really perseverate on the price of veganism based on a lot of the substitutes, the meat substitutes and the milk substitutes and all that kind of stuff. So the more people that do that, obviously that's going to bring the cost down. But I also feel lately like people are starting to, be like, I'm not vegan anymore, because this is where Tom and I are so specific when we say veganism versus plant-based, because there's no such thing as I'm not vegan anymore. That's not a thing. That you were never vegan. You were on a plant-based diet. And for whatever reason, you failed at that, and you probably have failed at a lot more things than that. I'm sorry, it's really hard.
Bodied.
It's hard to try and fail.
No, but
goddamn can of beans and putting some rice on. It's hard to fail at that. Okay, you really got to be pretty.
Hold on.
An extra level of not competent adult to fail at feeding yourself without hurting somebody.
So
it's not that complicated.
Real quick, so would you say veganism is like a lifestyle, and being 100%. A vegetarian is a diet?
Vegetarian is a carnivore who doesn't eat flesh. A vegetarian is
right.
So
that's how you would kind of describe it real quick.
I gotta be honest with you. I have more of a problem with a vegetarian who says I'm a vegetarian for animals than I do with a carnivore who really just doesn't know and hasn't made the connection. Because vegetarians, try and say they're doing the right thing,
but they're not.
But if you're still eating eggs, I remember having a conversation early on, and the lady was like, "Oh, but my eggs come from backyard hens," and I'm like, "Okay, but where did the hens come from?" And oh, by the way, are you aware of the fact that a hen is supposed to have like 1 egg a month or something like that, 1 to 2 eggs a month, not 2 or 3 eggs a week or whatever the number is?
They've been selectively
modified
or selectively bred.
But wait, so people that I see that they have the chickens in their backyard, that's
those chickens are domesticated, and they've genetically manipulated them through selective breeding, not like GMO or anything, through selective breeding to
be able to lay
one or two eggs a day. They're not supposed in the wild. They're not supposed
to only have like 1 or 2 a month.
Yeah, or something. Yeah. Like a woman every 28 days.
Exactly. By the way, it basically is a period.
Yeah, I never really even thought of it that way until you just said.
I know, word.
Mind blown.
Yeah, right. No shit. Well,
can you imagine like a woman having her period every day for the
dude? I'm having a problem with just a fucking week a month. So there's no. I'm just saying. There's no way. I'm like, Jesus Christmas. Yeah, no. I don't eat eggs. I don't eat dairy. I eat the shit out of a steak, but I guess I won't do it as often.
So did I.
Yeah,
49 years, my friend. But guess what? When you know better, you have a moral obligation to do better.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean? Because it's not. There's nothing beneficial about it. Like at some point when you're 50 years old and you've got to start taking Viagra, you can look at that steak and think it, because it's all about the blood flow. And guess what? That steak is raising your cholesterol.
No, impotence is the first sign of heart problems. It's true. It's the first early sign of heart problems. If you got impotence,
I can tell you that vegans, they're like,
wow.
Okay.
Because
and I will
cholesterol
tell you
only
firsthand, because I dated a guy who, when we started dating, was a carnivore. We both were, and then we both went vegan, and then I was with him one other time after that, and I was like, oh shit. I thought they were just playing with this, but they're not kidding. It is all about the blood flow.
Yeah.
Yo, that's great. Well, we're going to have to end on that one because our time is up.
That's a great stopping point.
Yeah.
Great stopping point.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that shit was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have sound effects.
Yeah, I know. Right? Oh, I know. We don't have that one on there. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, you do. No,
not that one.
Yes, we do. But you didn't put the thing on the thing to show what you got.
That's all right. Whatever. But that's too late.
That is funny as hell.
Never too late.
Oh, all right. So then what is it? It was be.
No, don't even worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Just
anyway. So thank you for coming, Suzanne, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. It was awesome, super enlightening, like for real, super
educating.
enlightening.
Good.
Yeah, and then I'm going to see her tomorrow because we're going to the Animal Rights March in New York City. That's the annual Animal Rights March.
Yeah,
it's a big one. Tomorrow.
So why would you go to the city and not to like a farm?
Would they do both?
Well, it's an Animal Rights March. This is
different.
This is like a march. It's just gathering everybody together, and it's like a march. Like any of the other kind of. We wouldn't
go to a farm. We would go to a sanctuary because that's where the animals that get out of the cycle.
He means like I think Kenny's going hardcore. He wants us to liberate some animals.
Yeah, we want to do that, but we don't want to catch a case because we actually like freedom.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think you can handle yourself to what you're sounding like, and with your 6 what?
She started at 5'9".
Yeah, 5'9". That's what I'm saying. Hell yeah! Like waiting for MMA over here.
All right, somebody call Bertha and tell her to get my cell ready.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, who's gonna run shit in that cell? That's great. That is awesome. Well, again, we appreciate you being here, Miss Suzanne. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Super educational. So yeah, that's gonna be cool. That's gonna be a lot of conversation for real.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yes.
Thanks. It was fun.
Yep. So thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Thank you all our listeners. Like, follow, comment, and love, peace, and hair grease.
Live long and prosper.
And go vegan.
Bye from the fourth guy.
Yeah.
And the fourth guy. Yes. Good night.